The release of FIFA 13 is a big deal. Until I really embraced the sport, I didn't really actually realize just how big of a deal the FIFA series annual release has become. This is likely the only sports video game release that is relevant on almost every continent where you can find a console game system. Now, it was actually once a struggling franchise, but thanks to some powerful licenses and some vastly improved gameplay, this is now, without a doubt, the king of world football on virtual systems. Now, on Tuesday, the newest version actually released on disc for the 360, PS3, but if you had the EA Season Pass, then you probably have been playing the game since Friday, September the 21st. Now, I played this game with almost every major club and every major star at least 3 to 5 times. I've explored every mode, and believe me, there are quite a few, and I've compiled a pretty comprehensive review. So here's the lowdown on FIFA 13. Let's talk about player models. Now, for a sports game, everything starts with the player renders from a visual standpoint. The total amount of players included in FIFA is really just amazing. And considering that amount of players represented, the facial renders are pretty solid. Stars like Robert Van Persie, David Silva, Hulk, Carlos Tevez, all of those guys are done pretty accurately. Things like facial discolorations and blemishes were not forgotten or overlooked. You can especially see that on guys like Silva. If there's a criticism here, though, I'll say it's fueled by the skin complexions. Now, though all of the players appear pretty lifelike, some of them are a bit pale and almost kind of look a little bit like zombies, if that's even possible. It's only noticeable upon like close examinations, but it doesn't really detract from the overall quality of the visual, recognition quality of each player. This is just a small area in need of a slight improvement. Some of the players are more pale than others are in real life, but the face generations just generally need a tweak. As far as the bodies, modelers for the World Football Games, they have it kind of easy because the sport requires you to be so physically fit that you simply just don't see a ton of different variations in body type in the sport. Some of the players have longer arms and thicker calves or whatever, but noticeable like heft or weight just isn't commonplace. So however, players that are built a little thicker like Wayne Rooney or Hulk, they're well represented in being a little bit stockier. And you look at the stadiums and environments and lighting, the effects are really great. There's a huge difference between day and night games. Adverse weather conditions are depicted really well. You get wet kits and splashes of water on the field. Those details really add to the atmosphere, and they make the game feel different from a match that's being played in perfect weather. I've heard and seen some criticisms of people talking about the crowd, but you have to understand, and I've mentioned this before, when you're generating models in the stands that are on par with the players on the field, it's going to slow the action down. This is due to basically the limitations of the hardware on all existing consoles. World Football has 22 active 3D models on the field already, plus the referees. If you add thousands, hundreds, or even dozens of 3D models in the crowd, it's going to prevent the game from running at 60 frames per second. And you may not really know what that means, but trust me, nobody wants to see that. In light of that fact, I'll take less detailed fans for the faster action. The animations and physics, now, you can see those better in replays. The most practical camera views don't really do the awesome animations any justice. I took the liberty of including, some of those at the beginning aspect of this section, so you can see how good some of the animations and the physics are. You see that pile up with Xabi Alonso was extremely impressive. The bottom line for the graphics and animation is that FIFA 13 looks great. Aside from needing to add a little bit of color to some of the players' faces, there aren't really any reasonable qualms that I have here. Let's talk about gameplay. Now, this is where a World Football game has to excel, and FIFA 13 does. The new gameplay innovations, first touch control, attacking intelligence, and complete dribbling can be felt and enjoyed. Now, the first touch control is my favorite of the gameplay improvements. You really can't say enough how much this impacts the gameplay. It changes everything on the pitch. Now, it forces you to consider caroms and control with every pass and volley. This creates a situation where the best players are able to anticipate and then react to the actions of the ball, as well as their opponent's moves. Now, this isn't a pro offense or a pro defense enhancement. It is really a pro realism enhancement, and that is what's great for the overall game. Now, your teammates and the computer controlled opponents are now going to make much smarter runs and dashes to get in position for passes. This comes into play pretty much mostly because of the attacking intelligence. It's going to help you set up teammates easier, but it's also going to force you to be on your toes even more on defense. Now, a suggestion that I have in this entire subcategory of the game is for the option of icon passing. Now, obviously, with 10 teammates, there'll never be enough buttons to account for everyone, but there really doesn't have to be. Because if you had buttons that were assigned the 4 closest teammates, then that would really be enough. Now, gamers could call up the in-game icons with a button or a stick command. It's just kind of a small tweak, and it's something that should be optional, but it would be nice to have it in there if you basically could allow for you to have even more control of the passing game. In regards to shooting and free kicks and penalty kicks, it's not much has changed on this front, but frankly, the shooting system wasn't really flawed anyway. There are some differences with penalty kicks and free kicks. In FIFA 13, you have the ability to add a bit more strategy and deception. Now, the new tactical free kicks, there are some tutorials online. You can check those out. Some people really have that down pretty solidly at this point. In terms of dribbling and pace in the game now, you can no longer solely just depend on speed and acceleration to blow by people. There's some instances where extremely fast player may have that advantage, but it really isn't commonplace like it was before. The complete dribbling enhancement does give you some new moves and the range of motion you need to beat defenders, but the new gameplay features gives you the option to do the 360 degrees of movement with the ball, but you really won't be able to see that with every player. Only the guys with the dribbling skills on that level can do that. The bottom line here is that it's an awesome gameplay experience. I have really no serious issues to mention. The passing is icon passing is just a suggestion. It's more of like icing on a cake type of a request, but this game plays awesome. The sound and presentation. Now, this is by far EA Sports' best effort from a commentating aspect. This is generally a weakness of all of their titles, but it's actually a strong suit of FIFA 13. The addition of the information and references from real life or the virtual season specific happenings that really adds to the freshness. In exhibition games, Martin Tyler makes reference to situations and fixtures related to the clubs and the players in real life, but FIFA 13 does a great job of connecting the gamers to what's happening in the real world of their clubs, players, and the leagues. It starts with their timely and the relevant commentating. Now, another awesome feature here is the option to select 1 or 2 announcer teams. This is a concept I'd love to see expanded in the FIFA series as well as in some other gaming franchises. Martin Tyler and Alan Smith are available pretty much by default, but you get Clive Tidsley and Andy Townsend as the alternate announced team. So the different announced teams, they give you the game like a really completely fresh feel, and it enhances the overall presentation. Now, I don't know, maybe I'm asking too much to have commentators from each represented country as an option. I mean, man, these games are starting to spoil me a little bit, so hey, that's what I'm looking for. The visual presentation, FIFA 13, it really employs some nice overlays and gives some appropriate functionality in the replays. You score a great goal or you make a great save, you're going to be able to view it pretty much from any angle you could even imagine wanting to see it from. Now, there are some slight authenticity issues with hairstyles and such, but I don't really count things like that as a major flaw, because a player can change his hair several times during the season. It's going to be hard for a game that really keep up with that sort of thing. Now, from a menu standpoint, I love the menus. It's pretty easy to follow. There are a lot of little hints like lower right, lower left corner of the screen. They really kind of guide you on where to go. So easy follow menus, sharp commentating, and the alternative commentating team are real highlights for me. So this game is getting more and more difficult to criticize. It's presented great. The options and modes. Man, this game has more options than you can even believe. You have the EA Sports Football Club, and its return has brought a catalog with it this time. The catalog gives you an option to get rewards and to purchase things with the virtual coins that you earn from playing the different modes in the game. I mean, you get extra kits and stuff like that, which is really cool for me. I like that. And you get more options with the shoes and just a ton of boost and things like that for your clubs and your players. It's real cool. The live fixtures and exhibition play. Now, this is really gives like a new flavor to the traditional exhibition match. It really builds on kind of what NBA 2K did with the NBA 2K Today feature, so it makes your games relevant to what's happening in real life. Then, of course, you have Ultimate Team, which is huge. No franchise has really popularized the virtual card / fantasy team concept like FIFA, and it comes back pretty much in all its glory with some new wrinkles. You have far more control over your team this year. There's even an iPad application that allows you to manage your team anywhere. Then you had the career modes. Now, initially there were some gripes about having the career mode split into the roles of player or manager, but I can say after beginning a career like in both roles, I don't miss the mixture of the two. The game does an excellent job differentiating between the two experiences, and I really enjoy having them separate actually. Your goal as a manager is to have the team success, of course, but you're also trying to get called up to take control of the international squad. And as a player, you're trying to get called by the national team to play for your country. The online matches that I've had were seamless, man. I mean, outside of getting my butt beat, but there was no lag, at least. I can't blame that on it. So then you have the awesome creation suite, which you can do from Creation Center, where you can create tons of, up to 100 players, a ton of teams. You can even upload your own logos. Really super cool. Also, you have the skills games, which are really a nice mini game option. It's not just, hey, play this mini game and, just for the sake of just playing the mini game. You actually are learning some things about how to play the game. For a person like me that's trying to build your skills up, really comes in handy. So the best thing I think that they did was not removing old parts of the game. I mean, still have be a pro and still have be a goalkeeper options in addition to the player modes. So you're going to be hard pressed to find a more extensive and just options drunk sports gaming experience. Now, the enormity of this game is one of its most recognizable qualities. Now, the gameplay is solid too. You can't ignore that aspect of the game. In terms of overall polish, options, and functionality, it'll be tough to beat FIFA 13 as Sports Game of the Year. The NBA 2K13 releases on October 2nd, and WWE 13 comes out on October 30th. So I can't crown FIFA yet, but this effort certainly makes it a front runner. Now, stay tuned for the review on Pro Evolution Soccer 2013. Got to give it its due too. But in the meantime, subscribe, follow, peace.